Hello, friends. This is Joy. Some know me as Pink Girl Teaches, and I just wanted to take a moment of your time to share share some information with you about this book that I've written. This book has me so excited, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. I can't wait for you to get this book in your hands. You know, it's not something that I would have ever thought would come from me. I've always seen myself in one dimension, but this was really like I had sat down, I was in the writing process, and this idea kept coming back and it wouldn't leave. And so I was like, okay, it's time to explore what this is about. And I found my flow, and I had a really great rhythm here that once I got going, I couldn't stop until I had left nothing on the table. And at the end of it, I was like, wow. And I'm just excited about it and what it can possibly mean to you, how it can possibly help you see yourself in a new way. But not only that, change the paradigm of your life, change the trajectory of your life by you seeing yourself through a new set of eyes. Sometimes that's all it takes is a new perspective so that you can revolutionize your life. Your life is valuable, and I hope that this is what you will get from this. Many have thought that this book would be focused on narcissistic abuse because that really is my main message. You know, I speak to survivors of that. This book is for anybody. It's not just for somebody who's been in an abusive relationship, because I don't even talk about that. But what I mostly focus on is you taking a look at your mind. A lot of times, well, life happens to all of us. And when it happens to us, what happens is that our minds are what is assaulted, and what we begin to experience is life based from that bruised perspective. It doesn't matter what it was. Many of you know that I'm a survivor of childhood sexual assault as well as narcissistic abuse. There are people who experience grief, loss, devastation, you know, all types of situations in life that can shift the way that you see yourself. But what happens when when your perspective of self has been interrupted and disturbed is that now your emotions begin to play a different tune. Your emotions begin to speak to you differently. And once your emotions are doing that, once your emotions are impacted, it affects your will, your choices, the way you see yourself, the way you see other people, the way you see life, the way you see relationships, the way you see your value, whether you see your purpose or not. And so that is your soul in totality. And I have this message that I want to shake the very foundations of your belief system and challenge you to rethink some things and ask yourself, is this for me? You know, many times fear holds us hostage. But it's my hope that with fearless, the relentless pursuit, you see yourself through a new set of eyes. Many have said, well, what is this relentless pursuit of? It's simply of hope. Hope that there is more than what you're experiencing right now. Hope that you're not defined by your past. Hope that says, you know, there is more to me. I am significant and I will not be defined by society. I will not be defined by culture. And you actually stepping out in that hope. In the very first chapter, I named that the imperative of hope. And, you know, the underlining theme of this chapter is really your life having purpose and meaning. Sometimes we exist in a paradox where our reality is one thing, but what's going on the inside of us says something else. And ultimately, that's your purpose calling you. That's the reason for your creation. And I talk about how it's important that you tap into this. But it's not just that I'm talking. I'm giving you strategy on how to do those things so that we can begin to shift. Yes, it's called Fearless, the Relentless Pursuit. But guess what? I only really talk about overcoming fear right at the end of the book in one chapter. And all these steps that we're going to go over, all these chapters leading to that moment are things that we need to, they're all part of the structure that you're going to need so that you can implement these strategies, overcome your fear, and live in your most significant states. So chapter number 2 is like, life is waiting for you. And the takeaway question that I have is, what are you waiting for? Many times, we exist waiting for an opportunity, waiting for this. And throughout the book, you'll notice that I do hold a lot of scripture. That is my foundation. That is my belief system. And that's what's held me. That's what's carried me in my valley moments, even in my mountain moments, is all in scripture. But I talk about, real briefly, 2 Kings 7, chapter 7, verses 3 and 4. And that's really where we meet the lepers, right? And, you know, they ask the question, or they say in the passage that I quoted, is why sit here till we die? What are you waiting for? Isn't it time for you to pick up the shambles of your life and move forward? The rejection, the abandonment, the isolation, the hunger. These 4 lepers faced all of that because back in those days, leprosy was a curse, and they were cast out. They couldn't mingle with society, and sometimes our abandonment issues make us feel that way. Disappointment, rejection, when you feel like you're on the floor of disappointment and you can't move forward. And I want you to consider this. Maybe your desperation, your desperate times, your valley moments is where your greatest inspiration can come from. And that's what I discuss in that chapter. Chapter 3 is dedicated to self-discovery. Your life has purpose and meaning, but we're going to have to do some digging, and we're going to have to do some soul searching, ask some difficult questions so that we can find out what's going on with us. Ultimately, it's talking about having a shift in your consciousness, moving beyond the illusion of society and culture. If you really want to get to your most significant state, you cannot have society and culture think for you. You've got to do this for yourself. Society and culture is laying all types of laws and rules that we are to, it's the thing for us to do, but leaving us feeling even more dissatisfied, even more rejected, even more, it's raising up these issues that many have carried through childhood. And now when you're doing what society is saying, you end up hurt. It's time to walk away from this illusion and define your own reality. And it's going to take some soul searching. But don't worry, I've got some great questions for you there, as well as strategies to build your structure on, right? And move forward. Chapter 4 is dedicated to preparation and positioning. Preparation and positioning for what? For you to enter into your most significant state. Listen, a lot of times people feel like, you know what, I'm doing great in life. I'm doing awesome because I'm at this level. But even if you're prospering right where you are, that's a new floor. It's time for you to go higher. But before anything happens, nothing significant happens without preparation and positioning. Are you prepared? Have you located the place that you're searching for? Have you located the position where you need to be so that you can prosper? And that's what that chapter is about. So in the 5th chapter, I need reminders of what each chapter is, because there's quite a few and there's lots of words. But chapter 5 talks about visioneering, engineering your vision. It talks about seeing through the mist. Oftentimes life experiences can taint the glasses that we see the world in. And it talks about the importance of having a vision for your life. Oftentimes, when we want to step into business, we talk about what is the vision for the business, but what is the vision for your life? What is the vision for your family? What is the vision for your marriage? What is the vision for the friendships that you'll formulate throughout your life? What is your vision? Where do you see yourself? And I also encourage you throughout this chapter to unlock and define it for yourself. Again, society and culture has done its job and it's wrecked a lot of things. It's time for you to live authentically and be in control of your mind yourself, and so when you get to that floor and you think like, listen, I've done it all. Is this all life can be? For some people, when they're at that new floor, it can be like, okay, is there anything else? Like there's nothing, I'm frustrated, I'm stuck, I can't get on. It's time to revisit that vision and revision. And that's what this chapter is dedicated to. So chapter 6 is measuring your maximized life. This is the art of scoring and winning. And I talk about goals. I don't just talk about goals randomly, because listen, if we're going to live a significant life, if we're going to get to our most significant state, if we're going to revolutionize our lives, you can't be random about a single thing. Everything that you do has to be intentional so that you can get to that state that you're pursuing. So setting goals. Well, what is a goal? How do I set these goals? How do I measure my goals? One thing about society right now is there's a lot of emphasis on, reaching significance or success being significance. Those are two totally different things. Now, if we just take social media, for example, somebody who may have 100,000 followers, right, can see that as reaching a level of success. But is it really success if you're not positively influencing those lives? There is a responsibility. To whom much is given, much is required. A lot of times people only assume that has something to do with wealth. We talk about, well, what are these athletes? What are these entertainers doing for the community? What are you doing for the community with what you have? You have all those followers, but what are you feeding them? And so I want your perspective to shift again off of culture and now back to significance, because significance says that, yes, I have these 100,000 followers or, a community this strong. And now I'm going to be able to pour into them in this way so that they elevate, so that they also revolutionize their life. It's time that you recognize that your life is connected to somebody else. And part of your purpose is to, for many people, that purpose is going to mean once I break something off of myself, it's time for me, to go and break something off of somebody. Am I making sense? But it's really talking about setting your goals, defining your goals, and your ability to reach for more, get up off the floor and keep rising higher. When we get to chapter 7, it's really about belief and mind wars. And you have to understand that it's a battle for your mind. Again, your mind is so important. Your mind is a gold mine. If anybody has control of your mind, ultimately they have control of your soul. And so this is that belief and mind war. How do you see the world? How do you see yourself? And is it necessary for you to begin to reprogram those things? I dive into all of that within this chapter, and it's interesting. But we get to chapter 8, which is the Great Awakening. And I want you to take away from this chapter that you are your greatest gift. A lot of times people are looking outside of themselves for answers when all the answers are within you. Everything that you needed to be significant in life, everything that you needed to achieve your dreams, your highest dreams, the crazy dreams that you don't even dare to tell anybody, came on this earth with you. You were born with them. For those of you who are chasing your purpose is actually out there waiting for you. Because when you were created to fulfill that purpose. There's, you're an answer to that. And I want you to see that you are your own greatest gift. And sometimes all you have to do is reinvent yourself. And so, that was chapter 8. When we get to chapter 9, it's all about relationships. I thought I would really enjoy this chapter. It would be my favorite chapter, but turns out this is not really my favorite chapter. Now, I talk about things that I'm passionate about within this chapter, but the main question is, what do you want in life? Do you know the purpose and the significance of the relationships that you have? Do you know what you're searching for? Because those are going to answer that question. What do you want in life? Many people talk about, I want to be married. Hey, I'm one of them, right? But one of the most important things that you should know is that your reason for being married is more important than who you marry. Because once you define the reason why you want to get married, you'll seek out the right person that will help you get to that reason. And, That's where we come into purpose partners, but I don't really go into that. I get into the 5 levels of relationships. And if you want to know that, you're going to have to buy the book, July 27th. I'm just saying, 5 levels of relationships. Chapter 10 is dedicated to you not sleeping on opportunity. Time and chance happens to everyone, but how bad do you want it? You've got to be able to discern your opportunities as well as create your own. Don't wait for people to do things for you. I remember when I first started back in 2015, I always just kind of had this passion that, I want to do these things. I had no clue, and I was just waiting for some divine moment to happen. And I realized, no, sis, there's no such thing. Go out and create your own opportunities. And here we are, still creating my own opportunities. And you can create your own bigger and better and bolder opportunities. And I hope I challenge you in this chapter to do this, as well as give you structure and strategy to do just that. Chapter 11, personal mastery, personal effectiveness. A city without walls is not fortified. And I talk about the importance of you being fortified, because if you're not, you leave yourself open to your adversaries, and your level of efficacy is in direct proportion to your defenses. Of course, boundaries are important, but without these things, without these basic elements, you can't revolutionize your life. And, when you consider what a revolution is, it's really disarming a government, a legal structure, and the laws that concern it. And so these would be the laws that are in your mind. These are the laws that you live by: fear, guilt, regret, doubt, insignificant, low self-esteem. We're coming to tear all of those down and establish new laws for you to live by. And this is what we talk about what I talk about in chapter 11. This book is for anybody, really, for the gentlemen, for the ladies, for the young adults. But we get now to the final chapter, chapter 12, which is my favorite chapter in the whole book. It's the pursuit, as well as it being the excellence in the pursuit. I get to talk about lions in this chapter. And, it was so enjoyable for me, because it took me into my childhood. I'm Zimbabwean. And so growing up, at some points, we would get to go to animal reserves, and we get to drive through and we see lions in their natural habitat, and we get to watch them, as they're looking so majestic and beautiful. It's the whole pride of them. It's the whole pack of them walking with such dignity, commanding respect, and letting you know, I'm the king of the jungle and you're in my territory. And, it took me back to that place. And I'm always told by my friend Tanya that, hey, you are such a storyteller. And I realized that in this moment. But, there are so many lessons for us that we can pick up when it comes to lions. With them, what you may not know, actually, lions are actually facing extinction. And many times, I think we can relate to that as people. Maybe we're not facing extinction, but we also are running out of time. Every day that we live is a day we're not going to get back, and a day closer to our expiration date. But they have this relentless desire to dominate still. They still walk with pride. They still move forward trying to create new habitats. They still seek out ways to find food and eat in spite of their habitat shrinking, in spite of them being killed by hunters as trophies. But there's so much to learn about them. It's not just the desire to eat and survive, but how they maximize their strength, how they manage risk when they're in predator mode, or not predator, but when they're ready to hunt for that thing that they're yearning for because they need to eat, right? And some of us are hungry. We're hungry for more of life. We're hungry for that thing that we were created to do. We're hungry for the right connection. We're hungry for the right relationship. We're hungry for the right moment where our purpose is birthed. They're brave. They actually have a brand, how lions organize themselves. There's so much more, but ultimately how they commit to their goal, and the precision in the execution. Listen, this is the book that I wrote. These are the chapters and what you can expect from those chapters. I just wanted to share this with you. It's a book about really overturning the way you've been living, and I'm giving you a fresh set of eyes to see who you are and all that you can be, but not just giving it to you, but giving you practical steps on how you can do this. Now, when I finished the book, I was like, oh, I kind of felt like I left some things on the table, and I didn't want to add to the book because I was happy with it. So I decided I was going to create a workbook, The Roar of a Warrior, from fearful to fearless. And everything that I've gone over, I go into more detail with more steps, but this is actually a workbook. So you're able to write in it. There are goals that you're able to set, and you're able to begin to put all of these things, down in front of you, set them in perspective so that you can challenge yourself, so that you can see your goals, so that you can see the vision for yourself and begin to move forward and revolutionize your life as you go towards your most significant state. I thank you so much for your time. So the book comes out on the 27th of July. Those of you in the DFW area, I do have a book signing. All the information is going to be available on my website, pinkgirlteaches.com. So I thank you so much for your time. God bless you.